Had the person that actually interviewed him here as well. That's what I'm saying, like where is this coming from? But what was the point that you were saying? That because the alifs, there were silent alifs, therefore what?
Well, therefore this is a different manuscript variant from the modern Quran. Like
How did you make that jump?
Differences. The letters in the ancient Birmingham manuscript are different from the modern Quran, so it's by definition a difference, a variant.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Like this is a double thing. Like
no, because
you have modern Quran, which is different from this Birmingham manuscript, and yet somehow you claim that they are the same.
Yeah, that's because it's from the Uthmani Rasam. That's the skeletal structure is of the Uthmani Rasam.
Oh, so
the usage.
So you're saying that that if the diacritical marks are different, but the skeletal structure is the same, then it's really the same thing.
Yes.
Well,
that's why we have the ahruf and the qira'at, which you're probably familiar with.
That's pretty stupid because even differences.
What's stupid? Your understanding of it.
Even differences on top of the rasm affect the wording, affect the meaning.
Do you know what ahruf is?
Yes.
What's ahruf?
These are different modes of recitation of the Quran.
Right. So you know within the different modes that the usage of the vowels would be different. You're aware of this,
yes,
correct?
And they lead to different wording. They lead to different meaning of the words.
Yes, and you also know that the ahruf have been verified by the Prophet ﷺ, peace be upon him, during his time. You're aware of this as well?
No, the ahruf are due to scribal errors that have been introduced.
Oh,
after
you use the word stupid, but I would say that response is something that's more.
So yeah, when it comes to rasm
fitting of that word, that's not what ahruf are whatsoever.
When it comes to rasm and the diacritical marks, even the diacritical marks might affect the wording. They might affect the meaning, and there are multiple differences between Quran manuscript, which are due to their critical marks, which affect the wording. And there are even a few differences in the rasm, in the consonantal skeleton, which obviously also affect the wording. So I can. Are
you just going to be saying these, or are you going to be giving me evidences?
Yes, I can give you examples.
But can you first tell me where you got your definition of ahruf from? Because you're the first person I've ever come across that's given me that definition. The ahruf is a scribal error. Huh?
I got it from Muslims who gave Dawah at Stratford Station.
What's their study? Which Muslims? They're studying it, or random Muslim? You're telling me?
I don't know.
You're telling me about benchmark of evidence, and you're telling me that the evidence that you have is from a random Muslim from Stratford Station.
Well, you asked me what are the rules, and
I know what I asked you, and I'm telling you the response that you have given me is very disappointing.
According to my understanding, in Muslim tradition, the rules are different modes of recitation of the Quran.
And I've asked you where you've got this information from.
Well, I got it from online sources and Muslims at Stratford Station.
Well, might I suggest that you actually learn from scholars that have actually looked into this? Well, ahrufs they are modes that were verified and validated by the Prophet, peace be upon him, during his time. They can number as less as 7 and can go up to 10, possibly more, but they were modes that were validated by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and there's only like 1% of the Quran that there are several options that of reciting a certain word. For example, Maliki Yawmiddin or Maliki Yawmiddin, these have a different meaning, but they are both validated by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and these modes do not contradict any, they don't have creedal disproving
so this is the usual,
points.
So this is the usual Muslim narrative, but I just disagree with that narrative. There is
doesn't matter if you disagree, if the evidence that you're giving me is of people from Stratford Station.
There's no evidence for it beyond what some medieval Islamic scholars came up with, and beyond.
So you go to a train station, you ask the people outside the train station, yeah?
So let me give you manuscript differences between. Will
we be talking about the Bible as well, or is this just going to be going one way?
Well, we are discussing about this for now.
Can we talk about the Bible as well?
Wait a second. So,
Otherwise,
so
I'm not just going to stand here, just let you just throw questions my way. We need to have we do need to have a dialogue going both ways. We do need to have a dialogue going both ways. Yes. As long as you're not scared of talking about the Bible.
So this is based on a manuscript from Bibliothèque Nationale de Française, which is actually from the same document that the Birmingham manuscript is. They have just been separated at some point in the past, and they are kept at different universities.
No, the Birmingham manuscript only has 4 folios.
Yes, because it has been separated from a different document.
Says who?
It's different. Says Alba Fadeli.
And that's on Wikipedia, yeah?
Dissertation.
That's on Wikipedia, yeah?
It's according to Alba Fadeli.
Is it on Wikipedia? Are you getting this from Wikipedia?
I'm getting this from PhD dissertation by Alba Fadeli.
Paul!
Paul! So Surah 22, verse.
Wait. Say this once again, because my friend. Mr. Paul, Mr. Paul Williams.
Nice to see you, sir.
Salam, nice to meet you too.
Pleasure. You're covered in these things.
I am. So you, from what I recall, you interviewed the person that's looked into the Birmingham manuscript, yeah?
Yes.
Which is 4 folios.
Professor Thomas.
Professor Thomas.
Yeah.
It's 4 folios.
Yeah.
The gentleman over here. What?
I've been told to go in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Stand in front of the.
Yeah.
Very happy to stand in the middle.
So, from my understanding, it's 4 folios that have been carbon dated by the University of Oxford. It's in the University of Birmingham. The sir over here is claiming another portion that has been separated from that manuscript. His source is Wikipedia, so I was just analysing those claims, so it would be interesting.
I only know about the Birmingham folios, but I don't know anything about anything
anyway,
else.
this is a minor point. The point is that there is a manuscript at Bibliothèque Nationale Française.
I used your point about Master's Spite as well.
Which is an ancient manuscript. So let me give you some differences between that and the modern Quran. So Surah 21, verse 13. Instead of the modern Quran, which in translation says, "You were given luxury," it says, "We gave them luxury." So this is a different wording, or you can argue that this doesn't affect the doctrine, and fair enough. But this contradicts the statement that the Quran has been preserved word for word. And this variant.
Are you just going to be answering these points yourself, or are you going to give me a chance to answer
let
them
me finish. And this variant affects the consonantal skeleton of the word, so it affects the rasm, not only the diacritical marks.
Okay, so because you've given 2 qira'as or 2 ahrufs.
No, these are not qira'ats. These are from a historical manuscript, from ancient manuscript, which is not reflected in modern qira'ats at all.
It's not?
No.
Right, so if they haven't gone through the criteria that Uthman radiallahu anhu put it through, then they're not necessarily those that we would accept.
Okay. Then you would agree that
it's like a biblical manuscript. You have biblical manuscripts, a copy.
Yeah, I was going to make that point.
That have copies of the New Testament, the Gospels. Often usually they do vary, and the Jesus sayings are different. There are even different whole paragraphs are missing, and so if you have manuscripts that are copied by hand, laboriously, you're going to get differences. But as you rightly say, we do have the gold standard, and that is that the Sahaba themselves authorized the correct, definitive Quran, and that's the one we use. So if there is a
which one is that definitive?
Well, the one we just mentioned. So if there are manuscripts later on that might have 1 or 2 issues, it's not significant necessarily. One can't build out of that some kind of polemical thing any more than I could by going to the Codex Sinaiticus and saying, there are books in the Codex Sinaiticus that aren't even in your Bible. What are you going to do about that? Well,
no, but
you have an answer to that.
Okay, so let me say what my sort of general point is. The general point of mine is that indeed it is impossible to preserve a book perfectly by copying it by hand or by oral transmission, and therefore it is not surprising to see differences between modern and historical Qurans.
It has been preserved.
Just as
in
the case of the Bible.
It's been primarily preserved orally. Musawata, massively transmitted from the beginning. Hundreds of thousands of people knew the Quran by heart. It's impossible for it to be fabricated or changed. It's actually impossible. If you think about it logically, in terms of common sense, it's impossible to alter it. If so many people know the same Quran right from the beginning and memorize it, and also has been written down, you have multiple locks that ensure it's authentic. The thing about the Bible, the New Testament, is the earliest manuscript we have in the world, which is actually 2 miles from where we're standing, the Codex Sinaiticus, doesn't have big chunks in it. The resurrection appearances are absent from the earliest. There are no resurrection appearances of Jesus in the earliest gospel. It's extraordinary.
Maybe you are.
And this comes 300 years after Jesus as well.
And this is in the 4th century, over 300 years after.
No, sorry,
Jesus.
you are inaccurate here. The resurrection
Please,
appearances in the Book of Acts, the resurrection appearances
you missed your point
in other
completely.
books. And,
with respect, sir, you missed my point. I said in the Gospels, the earliest Gospel has 0 resurrection appearances. If you go to the Codex Sinaiticus
or
now,
maybe you are talking about the Gospel of Mark, but there are other Gospels, Matthew, Luke,
but these
and
are
John,
later. So my point is,
resurrection
the earliest
appearances,
Gospel,
and they
the early
date
New
to
Testament we
within
have, has no
30,
resurrection
40, maybe
appearances
50 years
in the
within
earliest
the time
Gospel.
of Jesus.
You've not heard what I've said, have you?
I did.
You've been talking over me.
I did, but
He was telling you about the oldest manuscript.
And I'm asking you about the oldest manuscript of the New Testament in the world.
Oldest
is in the
complete
British
manuscript?
Library. Yes.
Yes,
and it does not
Sinaiticus.
contain any resurrection appearances in the earliest gospel in that manuscript.
That's a
They
problem.
were added
Yes, that's
later.
correct, but how is that a problem?
How is that a problem?
The central doctrine of
Wow.
Christianity is not in the
Wow.
oldest
This is
manuscript.
not-
You're
this
saying
is
that
not
your
the-
earliest gospel has no
Sorry,
mention of
but
resurrection,
this is not
and
the
it's how is
central
it a
doctrine
problem?
of Christianity.
Wow.
It is not the central
The
doctrine.
resurrection of Jesus is
sorry,
not the
but
central
you are
doctrine.
lying. So it is not the central doctrine of Christianity that there are
What is the
resurrection
central doctrine
So
then?
please don't interrupt me. So there are no, it is not
It's
the
getting a bit
central
riled,
doctrine of
unfortunately.
Christianity that there are the resurrection appearances in the Gospel of Mark. So there are resurrection appearances in multiple Gospels.
Later on.
Later on, yes.
not in our earliest
but
evidence,
this is,
no.
You're
but
not
this is
answering the
within-
point that we're
But
saying.
this is within a generation of Jesus, and this, so this is confirmed by.
No, it's
by
not
the
within a
early
generation of
sources.
Jesus.
Yes, it is.
The earliest manuscript is 300 years after him. How is that within a generation of Jesus?
It is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. What is the earliest manuscript?
No, it's very relevant.
It is relevant.
It is if it's a
where-
bookish religion
it is
and if it's
relevant-
not being memorized.
There's
No.
no isnad.
Yeah.
We cannot trace it back because there is simply nothing there. It's 350 years after the birth of Jesus is our
It
earliest
is,
New Testament.
it is
That's
irrelevant
problematic.
what is the earliest manuscript.
And what is the earliest
What is
Quran
relevant
of the Quran?
is
We
what
have-
is,
Yeah.
is when the earliest is when the Gospels were written. The Gospels were written probably
We don't know
before
what's
the
in those
destruction-
Gospels. We don't know
probably
what's
before
in those
the
Gospels. We
destruction
don't
of
have
the
any
temple
manuscripts.
in 70
But you
AD.
said
My
that's
friend,
not
can I ask you a
important.
question?
No.
How do we know
Let
what's
me
in the
finish
earlier
first, okay?
in the
Because
first?
you
You're
keep
upset.
shouting over me.
Apparently you're shouting.
So, well, it is irrelevant what is the earliest complete manuscript of the Bible.
Why?
Because
But it's relevant
there
when
are-
it comes to the Quran, yeah?
You are no.
It's not relevant. So you just wasted 20 minutes of my time talking about it for no
You've got to
reason.
have consistent standards, sir. Otherwise, you're dangerous.
No, I have consistent
different
standards.
standards for you,
My
different
point-
standards for
That's it.
Muslims,
My point-
Yeah.
and there's no
No.
consistency. Do you see that
No.
in what you said?
No, my point
This
is
is
that.
not- this is not-
Sorry, again you are interrupting me. My point
I've
is
asked you a
that.
question.
My point is that both the Quran and the Bible have manuscript differences in them that that sort of show they haven't been preserved word for word because it's impossible to preserve. To copy perfectly a
We've
written
already,
document by
we've already
hand.
answered this because your
And
fixation.
you have this doctrine
Excuse me, can I
of
respond?
perfect oral transmission,
let me
but
respond.
logically thinking,
Okay,
if
let
you
me
think about it
respond.
logically,
Your
if
fixation.
some
Tell him, bro.
Muslims,
Tell him,
if
tell
some
him.
Muslims,
Okay, I'll do it anyway because he's not going to listen.
Yeah,
to
some
do it, do it.
Muslims have.
Can you let me speak and respond?
Let me finish first.
Okay, you finish and then I'll respond.
So you have this illogical claim that that oral transmission has been perfect, but if there are ancient manuscript variants which are different from the modern oral version of the Quran, then how is it possible that the ancient Muslims or medieval Muslims had the recitation that was identical to the modern to the modern recitation if it differed from the written Qurans that they had.
So coming back
they
to...
could refer to written Qurans.
I think it's time to let us speak.
I think
it's time to let us speak. Are you happy if we speak at some point? Thank you. Coming back to the New Testament, because there's a really important point here. You're saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we don't have manuscripts from the first century. I say it does matter because, so my friend is saying, it matters because the manuscripts that we have, the earliest complete manuscript is 350 years after Jesus' time. And we have no way of knowing. No, hang on. You said you let me finish. There is no way we can check, really, that what has been passed down has been passed in accurately.
Well, let Paul cook. He's cooking.
Do you know how many?
There is a way to check.
Let me finish. Do you know how many manuscripts of the Christian scriptures we have from the 1st century AD? Do you know how many? Zero.
Oh my God.
We have nothing.
But
do you know how many?
We
Zero.
We have quotations from early Christian
not in the
apologists.
first century.
We have quotations
the
from,
question is, in the 2nd century, how many? You said you let me finish, and now you're talking over.
But you're just saying lies, so I have to correct.
You have to respect people if you're going to have a dialogue. You can't just talk when you feel like it. You're supposed to have a dialogue. So in the 2nd century, how many Christian manuscripts do we have in the 2nd century?
I would have said a couple.
A couple. We have this tiny credit card size fragment of John's Gospel in the John Rylands Library in Manchester, actually. Tiny little fragment. Do we have complete Gospels in the 2nd century? No, we don't. You have to go to the 4th century before you have a complete New Testament. So the Quran is very different. We have manuscripts that go back to the beginning. Yeah, but you're fixated on the manuscripts. The word Quran is, I'm sure you know, it means a recitation. And it is massively transmitted right from the beginning, hundreds of thousands of people. It cannot be changed, it cannot be forged. We have no guarantee about the New Testament. We have no isnad. We have no way of checking that what Mark wrote is what we have in our manuscripts today. We simply do not know.
Of course we do.
So we don't even know if that John is John.
So even,
well, there we go.
Could be any John.
Even Bart Ehrman, the skeptical scholar, agrees that manuscript variants of the Bible do not affect any Christian doctrine. So
I'm still here.
We can believe.
Are you going?
They do.
Are you going?
Christian doctrine. The doctrine of the inerrancy of Scripture.
We should be done soon anyway.
For evangelicals. Absolutely.
Well, I don't believe in the doctrine of inerrancy of Scripture.
Well, that is a key belief in the evangelical belief.
Well, then that key belief of evangelicals might be wrong. Anyway,
that's not your point. Your point is no doctrine was affected, and I've given you an example of a doctrine that was affected by these variants.
Any Orthodox Christian doctrine. So you gave this non-genuine point that we don't have complete manuscripts of the Bible that go early enough, but that's irrelevant because we have other sources. We have other sources that attest to New Testament and Old Testament.
Such as what?
Such as quotations from early Christian apologists.
There are
hundreds and hundreds.
The quotations
of
are always
from the 2nd
generalized.
century,
they're not accurate.
Martin,
they don't fit
Origen,
the manuscripts we have. This is interesting. They're not accurate
from
quotes.
Justin Martyr.
They're from memory. They're vague.
Yes, but they
convey.
But they have the same meaning. They convey the doctrine accurately.
No, but the early Christians did not believe in the Trinity. They did not believe that Jesus was God.
Yes, they did.
No, he didn't. In the 1st century, can you name a single theologian who thought Jesus was God in the 1st century?
One, just one.
Just one.
Clement of Alexandria.
Clement wasn't even 1st century.
Clement of Rome. Clement of Rome.
1st century.
Clement of Rome.
Okay,
Clement of
in his
Rome
letter,
has quotations.
Where does he say that
in
his letter? It does not say that Jesus is God in his letter.
So,
no, seriously.
Again,
his letter does not say
I am
Jesus
not
is God.
academically trained in
but
this.
You're quoting this passage. You're citing it. Yeah. I'm calling you out, saying, where does it say in 1 Clement that Jesus is God?
I am making the point that we have sources other than complete manuscripts of the Bible that attest to good preservation of the Bible.
There are random quotes in the early fathers. He made
are you using this?
Yes, they are random quotes.
Let me give you an example. The story of the woman caught in adultery, for example, in John chapter 7. You know the passage of the woman caught in adultery?
I'm familiar with the adultery
Well, let me just finish my point. You will not find any church father quoting this because it's not in the Bible. But it turns up later. This is an example of the scriptures being changed. This is one of the most beloved stories that Christians recite. The woman caught in adultery, but it's not in John's Gospel. It's not in the Codex Sinaiticus. It was added by scribes hundreds of years later. It's not quoted by any father.
Yes,
Here's an example
we know that,
of the substantial changes made by scribes in the New Testament. Much more. I can give you dozens of examples
and we know
of
that,
changes
and
that have been made.
therefore we know better today, and we